Let me tell you something about Saturday mornings. For a long time, Saturday mornings were the hardest part of my week. Not Monday, not the middle of the night when the baby wouldn't sleep. Saturday mornings, because that used to be ours. That used to be the day everything felt easy. But that was before. And this is now. This particular Saturday, I had Levi on my hip, a canvas bag full of peaches and fresh herbs on my shoulder, and exactly zero thoughts about the past. I was present. I was good. 2 years of therapy and a whole lot of early mornings will do that to you. They bring you back to yourself in a way that nothing else really can. The farmer's market was busy. It always is in late summer. People moving slow, music playing somewhere down the row, the smell of roasted corn drifting through the whole block. Levi had his little fist wrapped around the strap of my bag, the way he always does when there's too much going on around him. He gets quiet in crowds, watchful. He takes everything in before he decides how he feels about it. He gets that from his father. I didn't know that when I noticed it. I just thought, this boy is something else. My boy. And then I looked up, and there he was, Cole Whitfield, standing maybe 30 feet away in front of a table full of potted plants, looking at a small rosemary bush like it had personally offended him. Same broad shoulders, same way of standing, weight shifted slightly to one side, hand in his pocket. He hadn't seen me yet. My whole body went still, and then Levi tilted his head to the side. That specific tilt, chin down, eyes up, and I felt something move through me that I don't have a clean word for, because that tilt, that exact tilt, was Cole's. Let me back up, because you need to know who we were before you can understand what that moment meant. My name is Naomi. I'm 31 years old. I own a small bakery called Dusk. Named that because I always believed the most honest light comes right before dark. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment with my son, a 2-big bookshelf, and a coffee maker I treat better than most people treat their cars. I am not a woman who falls easily. I want you to know that. I had been fine on my own for a long time before Cole. Fine. Not lonely fine, not pretending fine, actually fine. I had built something real. The bakery was starting to breathe. I had good people around me. My sister Renee lived 20 minutes away. Life was full. Cole came into my bakery on a Saturday morning. Of course it was a Saturday. About 4 years ago. He had just finished a project at the park 2 blocks down. His firm had redesigned the East Garden. He walked in with dirt on his boots, blueprints under his arm, and asked me for a black coffee and whatever was savory. I told him we were a pastry bakery. Everything was sweet. He looked genuinely confused, like I had told him the sky was green. I laughed. He laughed. I made him a ham and Gruyere croissant that wasn't even on the menu, and he said it was the best thing he'd eaten in months. He came back the next Saturday, and the one after that. Cole Whitfield was from a small town in Ohio, the kind of place where everybody knows your name and nobody ever leaves. He had left, moved to the city at 24, built a career doing something he genuinely loved, and carried that quiet confidence that comes from a person who knows exactly what they're for. He wasn't flashy. He didn't talk much in groups, but one-on-one, he was the most present man I had ever been around. He listened like your words actually mattered. He remembered everything. 3 weeks after I mentioned offhand that my grandmother used to make sweet potato pie every November, he showed up with a sweet potato from the market and asked if I'd teach him. I should have known then that I was in trouble. We were together for 3 years. 3 real years. Not perfect. I'll tell you that plainly. There were things that wore on me. His family was polite in the way that people are when they've decided to be tolerant, rather than welcoming. Holidays were tense in a quiet way. Small comments that he sometimes let slide when he should have said something. I named it for him more than once. He heard me. He just didn't always act on it the way I needed him to. But we loved each other. I'm not going to pretend we didn't. That was real. What broke us was slower than a fight. It was more like a tide going out. We both felt it happening, and neither of us reached hard enough to stop it. By the time we tried to talk about it seriously, we were already far apart on things that mattered. Where we wanted to live, what kind of life we were building, whether we were actually building it together or just occupying the same space. The conversations got shorter, the silences got louder, and then came the night everything changed. I found out I was pregnant on a Wednesday. I sat on the bathroom floor of my apartment for a long time. Just sat there. Not crying, not panicking, just sitting with it. The weight of a fact that was about to change everything. I was terrified. I want to be honest about that. I was not in a stable place with Cole. We had not talked about children in any serious way. The relationship was fraying, and we both knew it. The timing was, there is no good word for it. The timing was what it was. But I also felt, underneath the fear, something else. Something quieter. Something that said, you can do this. I decided I would tell him that Friday. I would sit him down, say it plainly, and we would figure out what came next together. I wasn't assuming anything. I wasn't expecting him to be overjoyed. I just knew he deserved to know, and I deserved not to carry it alone. I never got the chance. Friday evening, Cole came over. I had cooked jollof rice, his favorite thing I made. The apartment smelled good. I had practiced what I was going to say. I was ready. He sat down at the kitchen table, and he looked at me with this expression I had never seen on him before. Careful, resolved, like he had been carrying something too. He said, Naomi, I think we want different things. I think we've been trying to make something work that isn't working anymore. And I think we both know it. I remember the exact sound of the refrigerator humming behind me. I didn't say anything for a long time. He kept talking. Gently, I'll give him that. There was no cruelty in it. He wasn't angry. He was just done. And when a person is done in that quiet, certain way, there's nothing to argue against. You can't fight someone's peace. I thought about the words I had practiced. I thought about telling him right then, wait, Cole, there's something you need to hear first. But I didn't. I looked at him, and I thought about my mother. I thought about the way she had stayed in something that wasn't working for the sake of us kids, and how that choice had cost her the best years of her life. I thought about what it would feel like to watch a man parent my child out of obligation, to share a life with someone who had already decided they were done before they even knew there was a life to share. I thought, if he stays because of this baby, he won't really be staying for me. And I was too proud for that. Not the wrong kind of proud, the kind that knows your own worth. So I let him finish. I said, okay. I walked him to the door, and I stood in my kitchen alone, hand on my stomach, and I cried the hardest I have ever cried in my life. I'm not going to dress up what came next as some beautiful story of strength. It was hard. Growing a life by yourself, when you know who the Father is and you've chosen not to say, that sits heavy. There were nights I questioned myself. My sister Renee knew the truth. She was the first person I told, about 2 weeks after the breakup. She sat with me in the dark in my living room, and she didn't tell me what to do. She just held my hand and said, whatever you decide, I'm here. 2 of my closest friends knew eventually. They showed up. They rotated weekends at my place, drove me to appointments, sat in the waiting room, and pretended not to be scared when I was. That kind of love, the quiet, practical, showing up kind, I will never stop being grateful for it. Levi was born on a Tuesday in March, 11:47 in the morning, 6 pounds, 14 ounces. He came into the world looking deeply unimpressed, and I laughed through the exhaustion because he already had an attitude, and he was 20 minutes old. The bakery stayed open. My assistant manager, Priya, held things together while I was out. I was back at work 12 weeks later because I needed to be. Financially, yes, but also mentally. The rhythm of the kitchen kept me steady. Dough is honest. It does exactly what you ask of it, no more, no less, if you know how to handle it. Levi grew. I grew. The bakery grew. I found a good therapist named Dr. Anand who asked me hard questions in a kind voice. I processed the grief, and because there was grief, real grief, not just for the relationship, but for the version of my life I had imagined. I let myself feel it so I could put it down. By the time Levi was 18 months old, I had stopped thinking about Cole every day. By the time he was 2, I had genuinely moved on. And then came that Saturday at the farmer's market. Cole walked toward me slowly, like he wasn't sure I was real. His eyes went from my face to Levi and back to my face. I watched him do the math in real time. The age, the jaw, the eyes, the tilt of the head. He stopped about 2 feet away and said quietly, "Naomi." I said, "Hey, Cole." And then Levi, being 2, knowing nothing about tension, understanding only that there was a tall man looking at him with an expression he'd never seen before, reached his arms up toward Cole the way toddlers do, that open, trusting, completely fearless reach. Cole looked at me. I nodded, just barely, and he picked my son up. I have thought about that moment 100 times since. The way Cole held him, like something precious, he had no right to hold and couldn't bring himself to put down. The way Levi grabbed his collar, the way he grabs mine, the way Cole's eyes went somewhere private and painful. We stood there in the middle of that busy market like the world had paused around us. He asked me, voice low, "How old?" I said, 2 years and 4 months. He closed his eyes for a second. When he opened them, he asked, "Why didn't you tell me?" And I said, "You ended things the night I was going to." He had no answer for that. There is no answer for that. What came after wasn't a movie. There was no dramatic declaration. No moment where I fell back into his arms and everything healed. Life is not like that, and even if it were, I am not a woman who forgets what it cost her to survive something. Cole called. He came by the bakery twice, not in a pushy way, just showing up, asking if we could talk, respecting it when I said not yet. He wrote me a letter, actual handwriting on actual paper. He said he wasn't there to ask for another chance. He said he was there because he had missed something enormous, and he understood, even if it was hard to accept, why I had made the choice I made. He said he wanted to know his son, if I would allow it, and he would do whatever that needed to look like on my terms. I won't lie. There was a part of me that was angry, not a small part. A part of me felt like his regret was showing up 2 years too late, and only because he happened to be at the same market at the same time. What if we'd never crossed paths again? Would I have made the right call then? I turned that question over a long time. Renee sat me down about a month after the market. She made tea, which meant she was serious, and she said, "Naomi, you protected yourself. That was right, but Levi didn't make those choices. Levi just showed up, and a father who wants to be there, that's not nothing." I heard her. I called Cole the following week. I told him, "I am not your girlfriend. I am not working toward being your girlfriend. What I am is the mother of your child, and if you want to be his father, really be it, consistently, without conditions, then I will not stand in the way of that, but you have to earn it. Not from me, from him." He said, "Okay," and he meant it. That was 8 months ago. Cole picks Levi up on Saturday mornings now, takes him to the park, the one near the bakery, the one his firm designed, brings him back in the early afternoon, tired and happy and usually covered in something. He has not missed a single Saturday. He is learning what it means to be a father to a child who didn't get to learn him from the beginning. It is slow and imperfect and sometimes awkward, but he keeps showing up. And Levi, who reaches for people with his whole body when he loves them, has started to reach for Cole. I watch that sometimes from the window of the bakery, just for a moment, and I don't feel the thing I thought I'd feel. I don't feel sad. I don't feel like I lost. I don't feel like I won either. I feel like I'm watching something become what it was always supposed to be in the time it was always supposed to take. Here is what I want you to take from this. I did not wait for Cole to come back. I did not build my life around a door that might one day open. I built my life, my real life, the one I actually wanted, and I did it from scratch with my own two hands and the people who chose to stand beside me when it mattered. Levi is the best thing I have ever made. I made him in the middle of grief and uncertainty and a kind of loneliness I had never known before, and I would do it the same way again. Some people will hear this story and say I should have told Cole from the beginning. Maybe. I've sat with that, but I also know what I knew that night, that I would not beg a man to stay, and I would not let my child grow up feeling like the reason his father was there instead of the reason his father wanted to be. There is a difference, and that difference mattered to me more than comfort ever could. Cole did not save my story. He is a chapter in it, an important one because he is Levi's father, and that is not a small thing, but the story was always mine. It still is. Saturday mornings are good now, different from what they were, better than I expected, and every time Levi tilts his head in that way, chin down, eyes up, taking everything in before he decides how he feels about it, I don't see what I lost anymore. I see exactly what I kept.